Hi Zoe, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Very well indeed.
Thank you for coming today. So just to recap, this is all about a project of mine that I'm setting up called Luminary Mindset. And it's an incentive that I'd like to offer to executives and leaders in large corporations to encourage them to see the benefits of creating inspirational leaders within their organisations. So you and I go back a fair way, and I'll never forget that evening by the Christmas tree when we shared our quite personal stories of some of the character forming experiences that we'd had in our life. And it really, I know you inspired me in that moment to realise that, yeah, thank you. It made me realise that actually there's human beings inside every leader, and that's really important for us to recognise. And the other thing about a luminary mindset is the optimism and positivity that leaders, I think, need to have to inspire people. So could you just talk to us a bit about where you get your inspiration from as a leader?
In short, from everybody around me.
Yeah.
I'm a people person, love engaging with people, love the story behind what motivates people. And as you mentioned, as a backdrop, I've seen a lot of what the world can offer, the worst of the worst. I don't fear failure at all. And I guess I've surrounded myself by maybe luck and good judgment over the years with people who just go about it's not what they do, it's how they do it, the style, the manner that they do it. They hold their head up high, and they have that inner confidence. And they're also enablers for other people. And I think if you can enable other people, you'll have friends for life.
How do you go about enabling other people?
I guess in a number of ways. Over the years, I've always wanted to do different things. I like variety. I like challenge. I'm comfortable being outside of my comfort zone. But in order to do that, I've obviously got a lot of responsibility. So I've always needed to bring people up, give people that opportunity. And we were talking earlier, one of the greatest feelings I think you can have as a leader is witnessing people achieve something far out with what they thought was capable, within them. So to be able to do that and almost making your role redundant is a very powerful thing. It's almost the anti-civil service environment where people can do your job. Oh, that's great. I can go on and do other things, often without that roadmap ahead of me. Definitely. So there's a risk, but that's also confidence in my own ability to twist and turn and be agile.
Love it. So why do you think more leaders don't do that?
I think probably lack of confidence, true deep lack of confidence in their own ability and their ability to change means they become resistant to change and therefore resistant to other people usurping their level of authority. Maybe that's ego. If you don't care who takes the benefit, you can change the world.
Absolutely.
And you can change the world alongside the rank and file of so many extraordinary people who come from relatively ordinary backgrounds. And I love that. That's really a passion that drives me.
I can see, yeah. So we've both had experience, so we're both now running our own businesses, but we've had previous experience in the corporate world, which is the majority of our time. That's where we met. Yeah. So this message is for those corporate leaders. It's for the CEOs and the executives of those large corporations. I really want to help them see that it's possible to have this kind of mindset and run a successful large corporation. So talk to me about that. What would you say to a CEO running a large corporation about their mindset and how important it is?
Well, I think you're not employing a person for 40 hours. Your employees, they're committed, they're passionate. Use what's within them, within their DNA, what they were born with, their experiences. And that will just only enhance the culture, the diversity of the organisation and create a very unique, non-replicable culture. You can't compete against that. I know some very talented people, and they've created a partnership. There are now 39 partners in the business. It's a consultancy business. And they're just a wonderful, eclectic array of people. But because of the structure and because of who they are and their passion, it can never be acquired. Yeah. There can never be an adverse takeover. They're in control. They choose their client base. They choose everything, you know, and that's a wonderful choice. And that's choice, and choice equals freedom. So you don't have to give up the day job to get freedom. Freedom comes in many different ways. And I wouldn't impress entrepreneurship on anybody or anything else. It's be yourself. And personally, I found that I guess I found some of the corporate culture, it felt like they were wrapping you in cling film. I've always been very single-minded, very aware of my surroundings, but very true to myself. I think there are employees who will be tempted to change who they are to fit into a corporate culture, and I think that's dangerous. You lose your identity along the way very quickly. Therefore, you lose your moral compass bearing and your point of reference. And you become rudderless, therefore you become very subservient to the organisation, and therefore there's nowhere to go. And that's I don't think there's many true leaders who would ever want that kind of organisation. They wouldn't want employees to be in that position. There's so much strength and power in their team. Use it, enable it, create that impactful organisation.
Definitely. So you've just said two words that are really, really important to me. You've referenced choice, and then how choice leads to freedom. How do these leaders give their teams and their organisations more choice?
I think you have to know your team. Know your team, and allow your team to contribute, create a culture where they can contribute, one that they're not going to get shot down. Nobody's ever calling anybody else's baby ugly, so to speak. You know, it's everything's taken in the right context. I think employees appreciate that they'll never know everything about the inner workings and the strategic direction of the business. Most employees are very respectful. They want the opportunity to be heard and to be considered. And actually considered feedback means they can channel and chisel their feedback to be better next time, more appropriate next time. So I think it's embracing people, treating people as individuals, whether it's their knowledge, their culture, their experience, coming from a different angle. There's so much more to tap into. There is.
It's limitless, isn't it?
It really is. Boundaryless, I think Jack Welch used the phrase.
That's a good phrase. Say that again, sorry, because I interrupted you.
Boundaryless, yes. It's, there's in the world of strategy and business, I quite often find that there's a natural bent to, rather than play in this huge lush green pasture, people tend to gravitate to the shadowy areas near the boundaries. And sometimes you're leaving this huge void in the middle, which is such rich pasture and areas that your team are comfortable. There's plenty of opportunity for them to grow if they know there's no glass ceiling, and actually it's a boundaryless culture, north, south, east, west, as well as up and down as well. You know, it gives them limitless potential. They like to feel part of things. I mean, I'm not trying to redefine every employee here, but I think true leaders inspire. And I saw some great leaders in the military. I spent some time in the Territorial Army in the 90s, primarily because I more wanted the physical side, because it was a very, very mentally taxing role that I had. But to see people lead from the front in a military context, I could take a lot of personal experience out of that and apply that. That's leaders of people in adverse situations when people are short on water, short on energy, short on sleep.
Wow.
Very different definition of challenge.
Really is. And that's context again, isn't it? And you mentioned context earlier. So how important is context in leadership?
I think it's hugely important. Walk a mile in another person's shoes is incredibly important. But equally, people need that point of reference. They need to know the goal. Frank Williams of Williams Motorsport, he's got a great phrase: does it make my car go faster? Whether he's signing somebody's purchase order, invoice, requisition, he's going to look at that, and everybody knows that the most important thing is, can that car go faster around the track because of this invoice? Right. Everything towards a strategic objective. And unless you convey that, your employees don't know where the organisation's going. They're only seeing, the next yard. And that's, I think that's a real shame. And people cool off from that, and they become dumb terminals, and that's such a waste of natural talent, energy, and passion.
It is. Who inspires you?
So I take my inspiration in snippets from the many different people I've had the good fortune to work with and through life and business over the years. Done a lot of ultramarathon running in the past, so people like Killian and Scott Jurek, who can run 100, 200 miles at altitude, sky running. They're in control of every facet of their mind and body, and they both work symbiotically. And I truly believe if you can get the mindset right, your body can achieve huge amounts of things. But there's so many people who just leave so much on the table, a life unfulfilled, because they never realised they could reach that potential.
Definitely.
I think we've all been in certain circumstances in life where your body just wants to crawl up under a hedge and have a sleep.
Yes.
But actually, if the mind's fit, healthy and driven, you can go 4, 5, 6 times further. I think the SEALs have the phrase of 40%, don't they?
Yeah.
Most people only ever achieve 40% of what's possible.
I know. It's incredible, isn't it?
So that's just a couple of examples. I take a lot of inspiration from the people who I'm fortunate enough to be in business with as well.
Yeah.
They drive me. We hold each other accountable. I need to be held accountable as well.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest strengths in business is humility, understanding where the strengths are, the weaknesses, and understanding where others are as well.
Yeah.
And trying to draw that out of people, so that if the only way they can grow if they address double down on the strengths and address the areas that they can improve on.
Yeah.
And that's freedom. Again, freedom to express yourself, to be honest, no pretenses. Love that environment.
I love
so
it.
Many inspirational people some are no longer with us, some have inspired me for a few moments, brief meetings, and some for relationships that have lasted decades.
Amazing. It's amazing how what you just talked about there, brief meetings where that other person may not know the interaction caused some kind of catalytic thought or it's amazing how, and we're all doing that all the time, aren't we?
We are, and I can be inspired by negative things as positive things.
Right.
You can draw if you look deep enough, you can draw the positives in any situation. And we discussed some of the catastrophic things that we've seen and experienced in our lives. But looking deeper, how that shapes you as an individual. We're in control of our future. There'll be externalities that we can't control, but whether we choose to allow those externalities to redefine ourselves, that is entirely within our gift. We may need help and support to do that, of course, but if we've got that strong moral fibre there, then we become relatively bulletproof, to be honest.
I agree. So running your own business, CEOs, although it's not necessarily their business, but they're running a business, how do you keep the energy and the momentum going?
I guess I came out of the womb very driven.
Did you?
I only do what I enjoy. I only do what I love. So it doesn't. It sounds a bit of a cliche, but it doesn't feel like work. I mean, yes, I have to do tough things from time to time, and not everything's enjoyable. But I love where I'm going. I love the objectives, love the drive and the strategy, and one of the freedoms that I value more than anything else is the freedom to choose who I work with. And then you're connecting with people who are, I say, like-minded. If everybody thought the same, somebody's going to get lazy and complacent. So, it's nice to freshen things up, and we love challenge. To be able to receive criticism and feedback, that as long as it's done in the right way. I want to grow. I think, the phrase, if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always got. I think actually it's even worse than that. If you do what you've always done, you'll stand still. The world will pass you by, and actually you'll gradually degrade and erode over time. So we've all got to change. Well, we don't have to. It's a choice. But in order to grow, in order to stay the same, we've got to grow to compete. And with all the changes in the world, just that passion, knowledge, and that's why I invest in other businesses now as well, because I can't keep pace with all the knowledge growth out there, but it's fantastic to be able to invest in and support new management teams. And I'm inspired by what they're going to achieve for generations to come.
Amazing. I can see in you a drive for legacy through your children. You've got 4 kids.
Yeah.
Through the investing in other people's businesses, through growing your own businesses, through writing books. So why is legacy so important to you?
I've seen young lives cut short through Hillsborough many years ago, and I guess there's always been that high tempo to honour those that couldn't fulfil their life's potential, and to see my children and other people's children have the opportunity to have a limitless life, to be boundaryless, have that freedom of choice, but to have a very deep set of values that are true to them, not my values, but values that are true to them. That's really important. I think the jobs for life doesn't exist anymore. We're going to have to adapt to change all the time. So those that choose not to embrace change are going to be subservient to change, and it's going to hit them left, right and centre for the rest of their days. So I want people to be resilient. So we're building a multi-generational legacy through a number of asset classes, including property as a core pillar, but also another primary asset class is business. All of our 4 children are shareholders in our business. Now, I'm not saying Emily at 9 knows much about being a shareholder, but she will know more about being a shareholder by the time she's 18 than I did when I was 18. So it's those little overriding principles that will compound. And when we wrote the book together, Advice to Your Younger Self, it was that principle there of taking somebody back, given all of their knowledge, all their experiences, take them back to when they were 14, 15, 16. If somebody tapped you on the shoulder, put their arm around you and gave you a couple of nuggets of advice, given what you know now, what would that be? And compounding was one of those things that came up very loud and clear. But it's not just about creating that multi-generational legacy for us, also growing that and inspiring others to do that as well. So with the book, with our investment in other companies as well, which will take on other social impact causes as well. Just become an investor and director in a business which is going to take commercial property and help alleviate homelessness. Our target is to create 10 million homeless bed nights over the next 5 years. So to make a real dent in the real thorny issues that, quite frankly, society isn't addressing quick enough. There's no silver bullet to this. It's difficult. It's going to need the private sector to take a stance. I believe in creating shared value. And I don't believe that it's about making profit at the expense of others. I think there's enough profit to be made out there, an abundance of profit, but it can be done by creating that shared value across those that are less fortunate in society. And at the moment, that is dragging precious pounds out of the UK economy as an example. And actually the people who have maybe in a homeless situation and other vulnerable groups, they've got a lot to contribute in society, and let's face it, we all need a leg up every now and again. So there's just a few examples where a multi-generational legacy is just massively important to us.